Hey, beautiful sisters. Welcome to my temple. I wanted to pop on really quick and do this video about the courtesan archetype. I think this is a very important archetype for women to know about and to really feel into. So I have some notes here that I'm going to go through. And what the courtesans were, they were some of the most educated women in the world. And they were allowed privileges that wives and other women at that time were not. This is going back hundreds of years, Renaissance period, 1700s, 1800s. These women were highly educated, like I said, and they were very skilled in just more than art and usually could converse in many topics. So the definition of a courtesan literally means an educated, artistic, and creative woman who is attached to the court of nobility. So she was a muse to men, a counselor to men. She was a lover to men, emotional companion to men. She was what wives at the time couldn't be for their husbands, or unmarried women could be to men. And the interesting thing about courtesans is they usually started from nothing. And a lot of them weren't necessarily always so very beautiful, but they learned and they were trained in finding beauty, not only in themselves, but everything. Now, one of my favorite books is Pussy, a Reclamation by Mama Gina. And she has a whole chapter on courtesans. And she mentions a movie that I highly recommend. I loved watching it. It's called Dangerous Beauty. And there's a quote from that movie that says, I have it here, if you want to give pleasure, you must know pleasure. And a courtesan knew pleasure. Now, in Mama Gina's book, she has different subsets in this chapter, and that talks about, I wouldn't call them secrets of courtesans, but yeah, we can call it a secret, attributes of courtesan. One of the attributes of being a courtesan was that she attracts what she desires. So she is very clear on what she desires, and what she desires is beauty. She desires respect. She desires to be honored. And unlike paid prostitutes at the time, courtesans would not engage in sex unless they were honored, unless they were taken care of, respected. They needed to be put on a pedestal by these men. So another secret of being a courtesan is she dresses the part. So we all know, like, putting on sweatshirt and sweatpants, you don't feel very sexy. So courtesans who dress the part of a woman who knew her pleasure, who honored her pleasure, and had high regards and respect for herself. A courtesan would also, she rises above. Like I mentioned before, Most of these courtesans started with nothing. So they chose to find the magnificence in life, the radiance in life, despite their circumstances. So I guess the saying is, they looked on the bright side. They took a meta view of everything and were able to see the big picture. And from that, they empowered themselves. A courtesan also lives turned on. So she's walking around in her highest power. She's lit from within. So she doesn't look for external things to light her up. She's lit from within. She is an embodiment of her pleasure, of her power, of her intellect, her wisdom. It comes from within. And she is really plugged into her innate divinity. She knows the goddess that she is. A courtesan also chooses beauty. She's able to see the beauty in all. She wants to be surrounded by beautiful things. And she elevates herself. So she takes chances against all odds. So when you start with nothing, there's not far to fall, right? So she keeps elevating herself, educating herself, putting herself out there, talking to the right people. So the Sacred Courtesan was a woman who was highly in tune to her sexual pleasure, her sensuality of life. She surrounded herself with people who elevated her, uplifted her. And she knew that she was the source of all this power, that no matter where she would be under any circumstances, she was connected to the divinity, the innate intuition that guided her. So she was pretty badass. So that's why I think that the Sacred Courtesan is a beautiful archetype for us women to look at, to embody, to call forth in our life, and to practice living life through her eyes. So if you get a chance, watch Dangerous Beauty. I think you'll absolutely love it. And I will see you back in my temple soon.